All right, so we're moving into lesson 10 and we're still working with integers. This lesson is really looking at the distance between two numbers. So if we look at this situation, we have the pool platform, which is 10 meters above. So that's here at positive 10. And then the bottom of the pool is at negative 5. So the question for us is, what's the distance between the platform and the bottom of the pool? So basically they're asking how far away are 10 and negative 5. So how do I do that? I'm counting distance. That's absolute value. So you're not going to do negative 5 plus 10 because that would leave you at 5. So you need to know this distance, which is 10, and then we're adding it to this distance, which is negative 5. But we're going to add absolute values, right? Because absolute value is always going to be positive, because if you're walking, it doesn't matter if you're walking forwards or backwards, you're still moving. So we've moved 10 feet here, and we've moved 5 feet here. So in total, they're 15 feet apart. So the distance between 10 and negative 5 is 15. So on this next page, we're going to do the same thing, but we're applying it to rational numbers. Remember, rational means we're dealing with decimals and fractions. So looking at number 2, we're doing the same thing. We want the distance between positive 4 5/10 and negative 3 75/100, right? So we just want to add those two absolute values together, right? So this absolute value is 4 5/10. This absolute value is 3 75/100. Don't forget, you have to line up your decimals when I add that up. So the distance between them is 8 and 25/100 units, spaces. They didn't really give us our unit of measure. So that's all you're doing. Basically, whenever you do distance, it will be a positive number. So here they're representing it as, subtracting a negative, which if you remember from our video, subtracting a negative is the same as adding a positive. So whenever you're finding distance, just know you're looking for absolute values, and your answer is always going to be positive. So when we think about what we know about numbers and absolute value, what is it? Absolute value is the distance from 0. The distance from 0. What do I know about it? Absolute value is always going to be a positive value, because distance can't be negative. So an example, the absolute value of negative 3 is 3. A non-example would be the absolute value of negative 2 is negative 2, because absolute value is never going to be negative, because the distance of negative 2 from 0 is 2, not negative 2. So is negative 4 the absolute value of 3 minus 7? Is negative 4 the absolute value of 3 minus 7? So negative 4 is just negative 4. The absolute value of 3 minus 7 is 4. So no. Again, absolute value cannot be negative. So we should have known right away that that was going to be wrong. 4 is the absolute value of 3 minus 7. Even though you get negative 4, remember, absolute value means find its distance from 0. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It doesn't matter if you're going in the positive direction or the negative direction. Both of these numbers have an absolute value of 4. Both of these numbers are 4 spaces from 0. And for this final question, The top of the molehill is 4 inches above the ground. And the bottom is at -9 below the ground. What's the distance from 4 to -9? I'm going to do 4 plus 9, which is 13. 13 what? It's inches. So my answer in the sentence is the distance between the top of the molehill and the burrow, is is 13 inches. Remember, it's a -9, but we're taking its absolute value. That's why it ended up being 4 plus 9, not 4 minus 9. That's it for session 1. There's no exit ticket for this one. So now you're going to move on to your iExcel skill.